Welcome to your own internal processing plant. Imagine two shipments arriving at the loading dock. They hold the exact same amount of energy, but they are packaged in completely different ways. We often think about food entirely in terms of calories, like simple math. But the physical shape and structure of our food matter much more. That packaging decides exactly how resources travel through our internal factory. Look at this complex cage representing whole foods like an apple. To get the nutrients out, our body actively coordinates a slow dismantling process. Compare that to ultra-processed foods. The cellular packaging is stripped away, and this loose carbo instantly slips past our dismantling stations. Two meals with the exact same amount of energy send completely opposite instructions to our body, entirely because of how they are built. When those unpacked industrial items hit the upper part of our digestive tract, chaos takes over. There is no protective architecture left to slow things down. This graph shows what happens next. A massive flood of loose sugar and fat overwhelms the sorting station all at once, causing a sudden, unhealthy spike in our blood sugar. Because the natural packaging is gone, our upper intestines absorb everything immediately. The energy is pulled straight into our bloodstream, leaving almost nothing to continue down the conveyor belt. The upper processing stations are temporarily overwhelmed, but the rapid absorption means the entire lower half of our digestive factory is left empty. Deep in the large intestine, there is an entire manufacturing district. This is your microbiome. It is staffed by trillions of microscopic workers that operate specialized machinery to keep you healthy. These workers cannot eat the simple sugars absorbed earlier. They rely entirely on structural plant fibers that safely survive the journey down the assembly line. Think of this tough, unprocessed material as their specific fuel. As we see in this diagram, the bacterial workers break open those tough fiber cages to create glowing protective energy molecules. One of the most important is called butyrate, which serves as the exact power source needed to build and repair the physical walls of our digestive tract. Without a steady delivery of complex plant fibers, those protective walls cannot be maintained. The health of our internal border relies entirely on feeding these workers. Now, picture that fast food meal again. Because the processed sugars and fats were absorbed hours ago, the conveyor belts rolling into the lower factory are completely bare. The microscopic workforce is left with nothing to process. But they are living organisms, and to survive, they are forced to find an alternative food source. With no plant fibers to eat, the starving workers turn on the factory itself. They use their specialized tools to chip away and consume the thick, protective mucus lining that keeps our internal tissue safe. To make matters worse, ultra-processed items are packed with industrial chemicals like emulsifiers, which are added to keep ingredients mixed together on store shelves. Inside our gut, these synthetic chemicals act like a harsh detergent. They systematically erode whatever remains of our delicate mucus shield, allowing harmful, inflammatory bacteria to press directly against our sensitive intestinal walls. This split screen shows the difference between a thriving system and a failing one. On the left, a thick shield keeps threats out. On the right, the eroded barrier cracks, leaking alarming warning signals directly into the body's blood vessels. This local damage causes serious problems. The constant irritation and bacterial invasion drastically increase the risk for painful digestive disorders, including inflammatory bowel disease and irritable bowel syndrome. Over time, the continuous leakage of bacterial debris into the bloodstream triggers a constant low-level alarm throughout the body. This alarm acts like background static that never turns off, making it harder for the rest of our organs to function properly. This constant background static eventually interferes with our body's ability to process sugar. It blocks the signals that tell our cells to open up and take in energy. When our cells can't hear those instructions, sugar builds up in the blood, and the way our body processes energy begins to break down, leading to type 2 diabetes. A diet built on highly refined products systematically dismantles the physical barriers that protect our entire biological network. The fallout from this structural collapse reaches all the way to the brain. The gut and the brain are in constant communication through a dedicated sensory network. Sensor cells detect nutrients, sending a glowing pulse of "I'm full" hormones to flip the brain's switch to full. On a fast food diet, the lower factory stays dark. No pulse travels, leaving the switch stuck on a persistent hungry setting. The communication lines are broken. The brain continuously demands more food because it has no idea that the upper factory is already overloaded with energy. We are right back at the loading dock, looking at those 2 incoming shipments. To repair the system, we have to look past the simple math of calorie counting. We have to prioritize the physical, structural shapes of the foods we eat. When we eat whole, complex foods, we step into the role of a capable factory manager. By providing our microscopic workforce with the tough, fibrous fuel they actually need, they will rebuild the walls, restore the communication lines, and protect our health from the inside out.